We're back. We're talking about lending, but more specifically, before we went to the break, and we're talking about full doc loans, low doc loans, and you give those great hints and tips on how to make sure you can get your finance through quicker by just a bit of housekeeping, I suppose we call it.
Yep.
But when it comes to housekeeping into self-managed super funds, we're now talking about something, and we want to borrow the money so we can buy properties and expand it.
Now we're really ratcheting up the complexity on low doc to full doc to self-managed super fund.
We've really come up the levels now.
We have. So,
but as a small business owner, this is where they've heard self-managed and they're going, I want to grow this because this is my retirement here.
You know, we've talked about the locus of control, right? We're bringing the control of your life back to you.
Yes.
Taking proactive involvement in what you're doing and the decisions that you're making will generally lead to a much better result in the long term.
Yeah.
So small business owners, I just think, have got such a free kick with the superannuation system in Australia, whereby, and the trick for them is, here's the trick, you convert your operating expense of rent, tip that into your super fund. Here you go.
Yeah.
So,
it's like paying yourself.
Yeah.
With a minimum tax implication
Yep.
on the other side, 15%, I think,
Yep.
or whatever it is.
Yeah. So half the tax rate, and but you're taking control also of what you're doing and an active involvement.
I think that must be really appealing to business owners, because I guess we get into business ourselves because we kind of got control issues. we want to control our own lives, and it's like
a megalomaniac.
Yeah, we don't want to give it to the XYZ companies to look after us super. We don't know what they're doing with it. I want to have it here where I can see it.
You know, external managers are also charging to look after the fund.
Yes.
So once you get over a certain level of funds under management, if you like, you know, which is generally, they say, around about, you know, 200,000 to 300,000.
Yeah.
Once it gets to that, that's large enough that the compliance costs for you to run it on your own, you're probably maybe slightly in front compared to the charges that the external manager is taking.
Yeah. One thing I do like about it is that you can start to get property in there, and Australians, we love property.
Yeah. Property's great.
So you're getting your property in there, but as you said, all of a sudden you're starting to get property that you own for your business, but you're paying yourself your own rent.
Yeah.
And getting massive tax deductions on it. The difficulty comes in from my perspective, and not knowing too much about it, would be, okay, it's in a super, it's all locked away, it's all meant to be nice and secure, no one can get to it. So who's going to lend you the money when it's locked away in something that's like a Fort Knox?
Yeah. So this is where it gets complex. It gets complex because there's just layers of additional entities that we have to put in there.
Right.
And the accountant is the person to set all that up.
Yeah.
The accountant and or the financial planner.
Yeah.
Both need to be qualified. Certainly the accountants do need to be qualified now, to give advice, whereas previously they weren't. And I'm not qualified to give advice. I'm only giving a general feeling about lending and the ability to lend.
And just opening the door and go, look, this is something you can investigate.
Yeah. So the lending is what's called non-recourse, which simply means that the collateral that you put up, which is the house or the business, unit that you're buying, becomes the collateral, and you're not required typically to put up external assets to back that up. Even though you're personally guaranteeing it, it's called non-recourse because it's not going back to
your own, maybe your personal dwelling, or residential dwelling.
So it's set aside, it's separate.
Right, okay.
And so under the non-recourse lending, there's the rules that we go through to get the lending are they're different from the other mainstream commercial lending or mainstream residential lending. The loan ratios are lower.
Yeah.
The interest rates may be slightly higher.
Yeah.
There's higher establishment fees.
When you're looking at something like that's a little bit different than the norm, does that mean that there may be certain lending institutions that kind of go, Barley's, I don't want a part of that?
So So, for an example, in residential lending, there might be 40 or 50 lenders out there.
Yeah.
Super fund lending, 10 maybe,
Wow.
less.
Jeez.
And some of the big four banks don't do it at all.
Really?
Yeah.
So they're really adverse to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's quite it's a very specialised area of lending.
So when someone, so a small business owner now is going, well, hold on, I'm building up my super nest egg. I could buy property now, and I could take a loan and pay it off and pay the rent to myself basically, or pay it into the super fund and get my little tax deduction. As you said, take that operational expenses and turn it into my retirement nest egg. That sounds really good, rather than give it to somebody else's retirement nest egg. So that sounds really cool to me. And they come to you as a finance broker, and you are a freelance banker who looks at across the spectrum. What are the things you're looking for to see whether this is going to work for them?
One of the main parameters that we would look at is the income earning potential of what they were purchasing.
Right.
So that's really critical. That's one of the tests. It can't be like a vacant block of land. It's got to be a finished property that can be rented out.
So I could
Already
buy,
is.
so like we're in an industrial area, so I buy the factory unit because I manufacture and I can move into it, pay the rent. So it's got to be something that can create rent straight away, not a...
Yep, and so the rental income that it makes, added to your own contributions previously or annually, annually you'll be paying yourself a salary or making contributions. So those two add up to be your ability to afford the rent.
Okay.
If you're a self-managed business owner, you may not have been actually, putting superannuation in annually. You might not have had that discipline, which sometimes can make the lend a little bit more difficult. There's some subtleties and nuances about getting set up and getting ready to make a self-managed super fund investment that you wouldn't want to do it really on the spur of the moment.
At the moment.
On a whim. You'd really want to have it as part of your conversation with your financial planner or accountant, as part of your long-term strategy, and start putting in place the blocks to build upon so that eventually you're ready to go. And it could well be in concert with the finance broker, so that we know what levels of distribution you've been getting and what your annual contributions have been, such that it's very smooth. It can be a very smooth process if it's managed carefully and staged well.
So is that a case that if you're in small business and you're looking for this, and it may not be today, but you're looking, perhaps down the future, this could be something for me, and you've got some loans anyway, it may be worth having a chat with someone like yourself as a finance broker and go, look, this is what I'm planning, and you can do an assessment of where they're at now and then help them with a strategy to get to where they want to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Yep.
Is there anything else they should be look? So it must be income generating. So you're going to combine the income off it plus their own contributions on it. And you said that some of the big four don't go for it. Why don't they go for it? Do they feel like it's less secure, or just they're not into it?
It's the complexity around compliance with legislation.
Right.
The SIS Act, or the Superannuation Investment Act, is very heavily regulated, and some banks have just gone, no, it's too much. And to be fair, some of the legislation has been changing, over the last few years, number of years. So, and critically, 10 years ago there was a major change. They're just not comfortable from a compliance.
It just not fits into what they're used to. So, but the other lenders seem to have other lenders who go, this is a great investment.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I suppose that's one of the things, because you go, once again, you can get caught in that trap of applying. If you do it by yourself, applying to the wrong person, they say no. Not that there's anything wrong with the actual application and your position. It's just that if they're not into that space, they go no.
Well, if you're going to that bank which doesn't offer it, they'll just turn you down, and you go, well, where do I go next? What do I do? Does this mean that I can't do it? How come other people are allowed to do it and I'm not? And you'd be thinking it's about me.
It's about me and my business, and we're great.
No, it's just simply that you're not asking the right person. But
Wow.
no, there is appetite for it, and it's not going to be going away anytime soon.
Yeah.
There's always some chitter chatter sometimes in the media about, or one government to another might be saying we're going to withdraw it, but I don't think that it's going to happen anytime soon, because it's now such a fundamental part of the way that superannuation is completely fabric of our lives now. That and it is a very legitimate and powerful way of building wealth for one's retirement.
Wow, building wealth for one's retirement. We'll take a quick break and we'll come back with a quick conclusion with Andrew before he runs out the studio about lending and all the things about lending and the actually what's available to you and the ease and simplicity of what is available to you if you know what you're doing. So don't go anywhere.